Hello and welcome back to Nolan Financial Radio. My name is Chris McKinney from Nolan Financial Partners. If you'd like more information about what you are here during our show today, give us a call at 719-210-4242 or visit online at our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com. And while at our website, click on our radio page, check out our past shows, subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or even on Amazon Music now. As we count down 2023's final days, it's time to begin pondering what's on the horizon for retirement in 2024. How should you handle persistent inflation? Should you be prepared for lower returns? What are the new rules for retirement withdrawals? During today's show, we're going to discuss some of the factors, good and bad, that retirees should be prepared for in 2024. Let me add that if you hear things today that concern you, lean on your financial strategy. A solid financial strategy can help you calmly ride out both good and bad economic times. And if you already have a financial strategy, use today's show as motivation to work with a financial services professional to build one. But before we jump into today's topic, let me introduce you to my co-host, Tony Shore, who I'm looking forward to working with on more shows through 2024.
Yeah, it's going to be a great year, Chris. Let's head into it with a great attitude. We ended 2023 strong, at least the markets did, and the economy seemed to be doing much better. Interest rates are falling, so right?
Yep. Inflation's gotten down to a manageable number again.
Yeah.
Still a little high, but not crazy high like it was in 2021.
And 2022.
2022.
Yeah, 2022 is where it really peaked.
Yeah, 2022. Yeah, I had
that. 2021 actually wasn't too bad, but inflation kept rising.
That's right. COVID was keeping things down.
Yeah.
We couldn't go to the store.
Right, exactly. And then everybody went nuts, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody had the stimulus package. Everybody went nuts. 2022 was a bad one. 2023, at least from the financial markets, et cetera, when, it ended on a strong note. But overall, 2024, looking forward to doing the show each week with you, Chris. I really love doing this. You know that.
Yes.
You and Tara are so great to work with, and I want to encourage our listeners out there to communicate with you guys. Call with questions. I know you love talking to people. You love helping people. That's what you do. So listeners and viewers, if you have financial questions, pick up the phone, give Tara and Chris a call, talk to them. You guys have helped so many people, and I know you like to help your clients. Now, we're looking at, I know you help a lot of people prepare for retirement.
Right.
And what about people who are preparing for retirement or in retirement in 2024? I mean, obviously, this new year, you have to have plans in place. The financial landscape this year probably will have things that we should be excited about and things to be concerned about, as always. I mean, it is an election year, right? But a good financial plan and professional can see you through it, right?
That's right. So a solid financial plan will adjust and help you weather inflation, help you weather a lot of things that can come at you in retirement, whether it be I've got to upgrade my windows because my house is leaking like a sieve, things like that. You've got to have a financial plan that can take into account the bumps in the road. Financial strategies that are built on a single line that never goes up and down don't last. You've got to have something that can take the bumps that you're going to see in retirement, whether it's because of inflation or, maybe a downturn of the market. And so where's your money going to come from if the market's down and you got your money in the market? You're going to pull, your hard-won capital out of there. So those are things that we help people do and discuss and make sure that they have a robust retirement that can take some inflation, can take some interest rate rises or falls, and all those kind of things, because interest rates falling can also affect your retirement negatively, right?
Well,
Depending
that's
on
true.
where
Yeah.
your money is.
Yeah.
So
Good point.
lots of factors.
Well, yeah, and you know, like you always say, a stable and rewarding retirement often comes down to timing as well, right? I mean, it depends on your time horizon, when you need the money, that type of thing.
That's right. And so one of the big things people count on retirement is Social Security. So if you are planning to take Social Security in 2024, you need to make sure you understand all the factors of starting that Social Security, what that will mean to your permanent monthly payment. Because once you start it, that's your monthly payment, right? So you got to understand all those factors that go into that, and then how that affects your taxes. What can you do to minimize the effect of that in taxes? There's things we can do. Um, so we need to really contemplate how we are going to start that Social Security and how that's going to figure into our overall financial plan.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's critical. And Social Security, as you've said before, it's the foundation. It's like what's the most important part of a house. If you're building a house,
Yeah.
a new home, the foundation is the most important because that has to be built to last basically forever. The roof can be replaced, siding can be replaced, even windows, but the foundation, that has to be done right the first time, and you
Yep.
want to make sure that that's there for you for as long as you need it. And it's the same way with retirement income. You have to have a foundation that you know will be there, and Social Security is the basis of that foundation, isn't it?
That's right. Don't make a mistake by starting your Social Security without understanding all the rules around it. If you're not at full retirement age, how does that affect your Social Security? If you have a spousal um, benefit, then make sure you're taking that at the right time.
Yeah.
There's lots of factors that can really set you up for less money out of Social Security if you don't take it at the right time
Yeah.
and the right way.
Exactly. So what else do we need to look at for 2024 for this year?
So inflation's still high, and so retirees, they really want to get more returns, higher returns out of their investments. And so, we don't just go in and start messing around with your investment strategy without going and talking to a financial service professional, because maybe you're in the right place. Because you maybe saw a downturn, but maybe that's because it was in a growth style portfolio that saw some downturn in
Mm,
2023,
yeah.
and then starting to move up. Let's not jump ship and move into something that is not going to move with this growth. So some of the things that were more stable are going to continue to be stable, but some of these strategies are going to really push and take off in 2024. So we've got to make sure that we're not just changing our strategy based on what's happening right now, because when we do that, we end up kind of resetting where we are with our plan. Usually the plan is we develop it so that, yes, it goes down, but it's going to come back. And so make sure you've met with your financial services professional before you start making those changes. Just because maybe you're not happy with the return over 2021 and 2022, 2023.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And a lot of people let their emotions, because of what happened the last couple of years, dictate what they do moving forward.
Right.
And again, this is a good reason for our listeners out there to work with a financial professional who doesn't have that same emotional bias and attachment to their finances, who can look at the big picture. And you want to make sure you're looking at the big picture overall. You're doing the math. You're paying attention. You're looking forward. Don't look back necessarily. Learn from mistakes, but don't look back. I think people get emotional, and this is a year, I've heard, some experts say that this is a year the stock markets are usually volatile. There's ups and downs. There's going to be ups and downs.
Election year.
Because it's an election year, right?
That's
right?
right.
Don't you think? I mean,
sure.
And that's really, it's really for naught, because if you look at the last 100 years of the stock market, at least, and the economy, the elections come and go, and they can make a little rocky ride especially during that time, right before, right after, you get some volatility. But in the long term, it doesn't matter who gets in, Republicans, Democrats. I mean, it matters in certain ways, especially to certain people. But as far as the stock market goes and your finances and your investments, different presidents have come and gone, policies have come and gone. And, the stock market over the last 100 years, if you look where it started and where it is now, it's gone up. And so presidential elections and politics are short term. The market and your investments are much longer term, right?
They create bumps, right? And we see those bumps. We see, if somebody says we're going to do something against China, and we start a little trade war, and so then it goes down. Well, guess what? Next year it goes up. So because it recovers from these things that if a policy comes out, it just may take a minute for the companies to adjust, but they adjust. I mean, that's what companies do. And then if they're a bad company, people will stop putting money into them.
Exactly. And so, you don't want to have, there can be big hiccups, the war in Ukraine, the Middle East, the election year. So people are all concerned. However, you don't want to have it's like that foundation money. As long as you have that foundation money that isn't all at risk, right? That's why there are safe options and options outside of the market for some of your funds. That's why you don't just have all your money necessarily in the market. You want some in other options too. Some people have CDs, some people have fixed index annuities, some people have, things like that, right?
It's called asset diversification.
There you go.
And we highly believe in asset diversification. Diversification doesn't mean that you have two different mutual growth funds. Diversification means you have actual money in assets that act differently than the other, right?
Yeah, some people think they're diversified. Well, I have both Apple and Google, so I'm diversified.
There you go.
Or I have Tesla, Apple, and Google, but I also have mobile and something else. So it's like no,
that's not it. We need a whole different class of assets, right?
Yeah, there's stocks that are at risk, and then there are principal protected assets where the principal at least will be there when you need it in retirement as your later years you get into retirement.
I love that you use that word, Tony. Principal protected assets.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that we focus on, because guess what? Most of the money you have is you made. You didn't get it through return on investment. You got it because you earned it.
Right.
So let's protect that.
Yes.
Protect that capital asset. And so if you can protect that capital asset, even if we have bad markets, we have economy that's growing and doing well. So at some point, the markets will usually come around. But if we have that capital protected asset, we can use that when the market's down, and let our market stuff sit there and wait for the comeback.
Yep.
And that's what's key. That's diversification.
Yeah. When the markets are down, you don't want to be pulling money out of those funds. And when the markets are up, you might want to lock in some of those gains and take some of those gains and put them into your asset protected pile. Right. So yeah. And then, of course, taxes are another thing in 2020. For the next couple of years, you'll want to look at your tax situation too, won't you?
Yeah, taxes are going to be changing over the next few years, and we've got to make sure we have plans for that. I talk to my clients just 2 days ago about how the taxes are going to affect what they're doing. But we've got them in such a low tax bracket, it's not going to affect them that much
Yeah.
because we make sure that some of their assets that come to them are not taxable.
Right.
And so having uh, assets that come to you that aren't taxable in retirement that's a really nice thing, because then if you start to use that asset because you need it because of inflation, you're not growing your tax base as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and that helps you in so many ways,
Yeah,
because they base, your taxable income is what a lot of other things are based off of, and so the lower taxable income you have, the more benefits you get, like through the Affordable Care Act and other things, and through the discounted insurance, health insurance.
right.
You know, the you get the I forget the word I'm looking for, but if you want to get the lower insurance rates, a lot of times they base that on your your taxable income. So the more you can lower that, the better.
The
And
better.
you use tax-free options with your clients like Roth
Yes.
IRAs, cash value life insurance policies.
Yes.
There are things you can use that will grow tax-free, and that's huge, isn't it?
It is really huge when you can say, well, I need 40 grand right now, and take it and use it. Uh, and you're not having to pay any of that into taxes, and say you're in a state where it's a 5% tax rate,
Yeah.
and like Colorado, and then you've got the federal tax and you're paying 22% on that, so you're looking at almost a 30% loss on that 40,000 by having to pay in taxes, because you bumped yourself up into a higher tax bracket with that pull. And so if you can manage your taxes and keep into the little bit smaller tax brackets. I'm not talking about having less money. I'm talking about paying less money in taxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I,
we're
I,
not talking about having less money. We're talking about
yeah,
paying Uncle Sam a lower rate. And so if you have all your money in tax deferred in either a traditional IRA or traditional 401k, which the majority of Americans, that's where the majority of their retirement money is,
that's
in
right.
a traditional IRA or a traditional 401k or something similar, 403b, 407, whatever it is. The traditional retirement accounts are tax deferred. So you will have to pay full taxes on all the money you take out in
That's
retirement,
right.
and that can lead to a tax burden. And to minimize that, again, you have tools. So
Right.
before we move on and talk about more of what we need to know and the retirement picture and financial picture for this coming year, let's
Sure.
let our listeners know how they can set up a complimentary, no cost, no obligation consultation with you, Chris.
Yeah. So, listeners, give us a call at 719-210-4242. That's 719-210-4242. And we can set up that company consultation. And if you mention this on the radio show, I've got a free Money Moves book for you. Okay. Tara Nolan wrote it. I helped in the background a little bit. So we've got a free book for you if you come for that complimentary consultation. It's called Money Moves by Tara Nolan. So give us a call at 719-210-4242. Check us out online at our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com. But the best way to get hold of us is to give us a call.
Yeah. Yeah. And Money Moves is a great book. I have it sitting right over here and I love it. I refer to it often, and there's a lot in there. I mean,
Oh
this
boy.
isn't just some little pamphlet. She really worked hard, and boy, you
There's,
did put a lot of work into that book. You had to put up with her while she was doing the long days and nights and help
hey,
edit
I built every one of those charts, my friend.
refine and the charts. Yeah, I love it. Well,
Yeah.
and it's very helpful. So I encourage our listeners to pick up the phone. Give that number one more time clearly.
So that number is 719-210-4242.
Yep, and it's 4242. And the reason
Yep.
they did that, 42 is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. You know that number is important. It
Oh,
is
yes,
the
it is.
answer.
It is
The
the answer.
42 is the answer. We don't know the exact question, as Douglas Adams wrote in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
Nope.
but we know the answer is 42. So
That's right.
that's from a very famous book. I love that. And I'm sure that's not why you picked that number, but I always get a kick out of it that your number is 4242.
42.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we first got our Alexa, if you could ask Alexa what's the answer to life, and she'd say 42.
Yep. Yeah. If you ask Alexa, if you have an Amazon device and you ask
Yeah.
Alexa, what's the answer to life? And she will say 42. That is
Oh,
the
yeah.
answer. Yeah. We don't know the exact question or how they came up with it, but it is the answer.
It is the
If
answer.
if only we knew how we got there and what that means. We don't.
Right.
That's the problem. That's the English sense of humor for you.
That's right. Hey,
Douglas
let's get back to
Adams.
work.
Oh, wait, we're doing a show? Okay.
We're telling people about finances.
All right.
And one of the things I want to remind people is I met with some clients a few days back that he's turning 73 this year. So he's got required minimum distributions on some of his retirement funds. So if you're turning 73 this year, make sure that you've got your RMD set up to come out when they need to come out. The Secure 2.0 Act raised the required minimum raised the age to 73. It was 70 and a half, and then it went up to 72. Now it's 73. And then in 2033, so 10 years from now, a little less than 9 years, I guess 9 years from now, it's going to go to 75. So, but 73 for most people for the next 9 years. So make sure that you've got your RMD set up. Now, your RMDs don't have to come from every retirement asset that you have. If you want to take all of it from one, as long as you take the overall number, then that satisfies that. So maybe you've already got a draw on something, and that's part of your draw. Just because you get a letter saying that here's the required minimum distribution for this account doesn't mean you have to draw that. It just means that you have to add that to your overall number and make sure you're drawing that much out of your entire picture for all the your assets that are subject to the required minimum distribution.
Yeah. And if you're confused about required minimum distributions, there are a lot of rules and
Yes.
things. You want to make sure that you're doing that correctly. Again, pick up the phone, give Chris a call, work with a financial professional on the RMD. And of course, when you talk about required minimum distributions, Chris, taxes are a big factor there. And that's why
That's
it's
right.
so important, right? Penalties and taxes. That's something you need to worry about when it comes to RMDs. And you don't need to worry about it, though, if you have it set and have it planned out, right?
That's right. And so that's we've started on. We usually start 2 years in advance for plans because everybody's worried about RMDs.
Yeah.
And so we make sure that we have that in place. And so we set up before they turn 73. We'll have the plan set up. Here's when you're taking it. Here's how much you're taking. And that number got set on December 31st of the previous year. And so here it comes, and it's all going to get done properly because we're using the right data to come up with those numbers, right?
Right. So what's next? What else? RMDs are important. What's another part of the 2024 retirement picture we need to be looking at?
Well, so in 2023, yeah, I said that right. The account value is generally increased in the market. So, that's really great. So we got to make sure that we're capturing that and we're starting to use that money the right way if we want to start pulling from that versus our various assets. So we've reviewed that with a number of clients as well back in at the fall of last year to make sure that their money is coming out in the right way. And we've been able to reduce a lot of people's how much they bring out because we're starting to get into the tax-free zone with some of our clients and how we've moved money over time. And so we can get we're getting that lower tax rate. It's really, really important that you're not taking so much out of those gains
Yeah.
that you're bumping into things, and maybe because you can really add to your Social Security taxes if you add money to your adjusted gross income.
Oh, that's right. We
Um,
have to think about Social Security as well as part of our income, because that can be taxed, a certain portion of it. About
right,
85% of your Social Security can be, up to 85% is
that's right.
taxable by the federal government and by some states as well.
Yes, some states, Colorado taxes Social Security.
Yeah, it does.
Um, and then the other part about that is that there's a 3.2% raise, cost of living adjustment, that goes into effect in January for Social Security. So
Yeah,
there's more money coming through. Um, so that's like an average of $59 a month for most people. So
yeah,
it's not a lot, but it's $59. Hey, it's a decent meal out, right?
right.
Um, so you can probably get a $20 burger somewhere.
Yeah. Can bank that, or bank it, put it back in.
Or
Yeah,
bank it.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I have a lot of clients that get in retirement, and they're good savers, so they can't stop saving.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, you're 85. Stop.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Please spend it."
True, if you have family, you wanna leave a legacy, but at the same time, you can't take it. I tell, I have a relative, I'm not gonna name names or who the relative is or what side they're on, but I have a relative that has plenty saved, and they're in their, late 80s, and they're like, "Oh, I don't have enough money. I
That's
can't
right.
spend too much money." And I'm like, "You can't take it with you."
That's right.
I'm not asking for, I'm just thinking they should, take a trip while they still have their health, or take the grandkids somewhere, and then I have other relatives that are doing that. Like my mother-in-law's taking my sister's whole, or my wife's whole side of the family, her sister and her brother and all our kids. We're going to Disney World and coming up
Nice.
this year for a week.
Nice.
Yeah. And she's covering that, and she's in her
Wow.
80s. So because she knows she can't take that money with her.
Right. And it's a
And
lot
it's,
better to spend
you
it
either spend it
overseas.
on your loved ones, or for her, the memory's starting to go. So it's probably gonna go $12,000 a month to the memory care unit, where she's at, or
Right.
the kids. I mean, you decide. And
You
I
decide.
try to impart that. I've tried to explain that to people, that,
Yeah.
because that's what you and Tara have taught me is, you know, you definitely people don't want to run out of money in retirement,
Nope.
but at the same time, it's like at the end of your life, if you're in memory care and don't know who anyone is, would you rather the state pay for that, or, and your kids have the money you had saved, or do you want to just spend down everything you have to pay for memory care?
Ha
And that's
ha
the
Right.
situation I see so many people in. I have friends, and relatives that have ended up in that situation, and it's so sad. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yeah. My dad's there. He has
Yeah.
no memory.
Yeah. It's
So,
hard.
and then his body's starting to fail. So that's what happens.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to hit real quick before we have to go, because we're about
Sure.
at the end of the show, is that if you are still working and you're doing 401k contributions, those limits have risen for 2024. So check that out. Make sure that you're getting your max contribution into your 401k that you can, and just know what you're doing, right? Make
Right.
sure you know, okay, if you don't want to, okay, but if you do, if you have the room and you have the cash flow to do it, max that thing out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good advice. So they have raised those limits. And if you need to know more about that, or how much you should be putting away, again, pick up the phone. We're out of time, but Chris, let our listeners know one more time how they can get a hold of you to set up that complimentary consultation and get a copy of the book Money Moves.
That's right. So give us a call at 719-210-4242. So we'll set up that company consultation. We'll get you your free Money Moves book, and we'll have a conversation. Right? We'll start with a conversation and see if we're a good fit to work with together with you, right? The other thing is just check us out at nolanfinancialpartners.com. That'll help you be prepared to know what I look like if you're not seeing me on YouTube or other places. So give us a call, 719-210-4242, and we'll set up that complimentary consultation.
All right. That sounds great, Chris. Listeners, that does it for today's episode of Nolan Financial Radio with our host, Chris. I'm going to say Chris Nolan, Chris McKinney.
Join us again for another episode of Nolan Financial Radio.
Sorry about that, Chris.